The best lawyers aren't found in the big law firms. They're found in the stories of those who left. Chapter 8. The Reputare Score. The notifications from my inbox should have made me feel accomplished. 3 matters completed, 3 invoices sent. The work had come in fast, and I'd handled it. On paper, everything was fine, but something felt off. One client had sent a brief email, "Thanks, Jason." Another had replied with a simple, "Got it, all good." And the third, a polite but pointed email about how the review came in a day later than expected, causing them to scramble before finalising their agreement. No one was fully disgruntled, but no one was thrilled either. I sat at the dining table, staring at my laptop, a pit forming in my stomach. The kids at the other end of the table, happily colouring in. Ollie with his Spider-Man images and his little sister Emily colouring what appeared to be a scene from Moana. But since she was still learning to stay in the lines and her creativity was clearly more advanced than the original colours used in the movie, it was hard to tell if it was Moana or a character from Avatar. But watching them felt like a nice distraction from my own day. I stood up and wandered into the kitchen, flicking the kettle on and grabbing Courtney's favourite mug. Making her tea became my default whenever I didn't know what to do with myself. Why does it feel like I just completed homework instead of building a successful business, I thought. I was deep in thought with a clearly unhappy look on my face as Courtney walked in, tying her hair into a loose bun with a snap of the hair tie like she was ready to throw hands if needed. "Who do I need to beat up for you? You look like Ollie or Emmy just stole your lunch," she said. I was in too crappy a mood to play along with the joke I normally would have relished. My fingers found the back of my neck, an old habit when I couldn't summon the energy to joke back. "I just finished my first 3 matters," I said. Her playful energy evaporated, replaced by the quiet alertness she saved for moments that mattered. "And?" My fingers drummed an aimless rhythm against the back of my skull, buying time my brain didn't seem capable of using. "And they were fine." Sinking into the chair beside Ollie, curled up with her fresh tea, she was like a cat finding the warmest spot in the house. "Fine?" Blowing on the steam before continuing. "You're going to need to be more specific." I leaned back, rubbing my temples. "Well, 1 was late, 2 were on time. No one left a bad review, but no one raved either. I don't think I did anything wrong, but I definitely didn't do anything that makes them want to tell other people about me either." Without missing a beat, she dropped the words like they were common knowledge. "So you have a Reputare Score problem?" I stiffened as the unfamiliar jargon triggered an old insecurity. "A what?" I said. She set her cup down, the thud sounding like a gavel before she delivered her judgment. Reputare Score, the Latin root word for reputation. It's a metric that makes or breaks any business in the long run. I gave her the same blank look I gave my professors when they tried to teach me Latin phrases during my uni days. She tilted her head slightly with the kind of patience she reserves for the kids. "All right, lawyer boy, let me explain it to you in numbers." I shifted in my chair, still not tracking. "Go ahead." She grabbed a crayon from Ollie's pencil case and a blank piece of paper Emily hadn't used yet. "Your Reputare Score is the number of new matters generated per client based on how good your service is for them. Let's break it down." She spoke as she wrote. "You get 0.1 for every 5-star review, referral, or repeat matters from the client. You get a negative 0.1 for every 4 or less star review." So, a Reputare Score 1 or lower means constant hustle. 1 client is 1 new matter, which means you have to constantly chase new business just to stay afloat. A Reputare Score of 1, it means stability and possible growth. So 1 client equals 1.1 average new matters. This means a minimum of 1 in 10 clients brings in repeat business or referral. Provided the other 9 aren't bad-mouthing you, you'll grow. And a Reputare Score of 1.2 plus means scalable growth. 1 client equals repeat work or good reviews or referrals. At this stage, new clients are hunting you down instead of the other way around, and you can confidently pay for advertising to take more market share. She leaned back. "So, where do you think you are right now?" Ollie interrupted after realising his mother had taken a crown. "Hey!" he shouted, clearly outraged the person who had brought him into this world and funded his entire 100-strong crown collection would dare use one of his creative sticks. "They are mine, and you didn't ask." Courtney played along like the amazing mum she is, setting the crown back down beside his pencil case. How rude of me. Sorry, Ollie, your dad's really struggling, and the only thing that might cheer him up is if I can draw him some pictures and write him a little story with one of your crowns. Do you think just this once you could let me borrow one? Ollie looked at my expression intently to decide if his mum was trying to pull one over on him. After a thorough review of my clearly grumpy face, he turned back to his colouring while his hand pointed toward the pencil case as he passed judgment. Only the black one and only for 5 minutes. She gave Ollie a solemn nod, matching his seriousness. Thanks, honey, I'll give it back in 4. I tapped my fingers against the table, gathering my thoughts. Right now, it's probably 1 or maybe less because one of the client's work was delivered late, so they might tell others not to use me. A knowing glint flickered in her eyes as she inclined her head, nudging me toward the answer. And what does that mean? My voice dropped, quieter now, the reality hitting hard. It means I'll be chasing new work forever. She tapped the table once, a quiet gesture of victory. Exactly. I stared at my laptop screen. So, what am I doing wrong? I did the work. It was decent work, I said. She gave a tiny, reluctant lift of her shoulders, more acknowledgement than dismissal. That's the problem. It was just good enough. It wasn't memorable or worth raving to their friends about. I gave them solid, well-reviewed legal advice. That's what they paid for, I responded. The words escaped me before I could filter, edged with frustration and defensiveness. Right, she said, and they could have gotten the exact same experience from a mid-tier law firm, an online legal service, or any other lawyer. She answered with the evenness of someone who had already seen the ending of this conversation. That stung, but I knew she wanted me to succeed as much as I did, so it came from a good place. As much as it hurt my ego, she wasn't wrong. I'd quit the firm to build something better, but I was just replicating it, minus the big firm resources or prestige of a fancy office in the city. I was creating an ersatz version of what I had left. I don't want to be a legal vending machine, I said. I let the words fall between us, hating how raw they sounded once they were out in the open. Courtney didn't hesitate, her words sharp enough to cut through my self-pity. Then stop acting like one. She grabbed a fresh sheet of paper. Here's the goal. Make every single client feel like they just made the best decision of their life, not just because of the advice, but because of the experience. I narrowed my gaze, agreeing with the logic, but unsure on the method. And how do I do that? I said. She flattened the page with her palms, like smoothing the runway for takeoff. Well, there's no right or wrong way, and you're going to have to experiment and get feedback, but here's my suggestions. Instead of just sending over a dense PDF or Word document, record a quick 2-minute video summarizing the review in plain English. I blinked slowly, indicating I was a little lost. A video? I said. Not wanting to leave me confused for too long, she carried on with her suggestion. Yeah, you literally explain, here are the 3 biggest risks I found in your contract and what I recommend doing about them. Imagine you're the client. You get a boring 6-page PDF versus a lawyer who sends you a personal breakdown with context. Who are you more likely to remember? Assuming my answer, or not wanting to wait for me to catch up, she continued, the ideas flowing freely now. Remember how much better a voice memo was than a text-based DM? This is the same. If a picture is worth 1,000 words, a video is priceless. Letting out a breath through my nose before I replied, all right, that's smart. She tapped the table in agreement before moving forward. What's something extra you can throw in that costs you almost nothing but could be insanely valuable to them? I thought for a second. 1 round of contract negotiation included? Courtney's face lit up. Now we're talking. The momentum in her voice upbeat. At the firm, that would have been extra fees, but now that's a huge value add that makes them feel like they're getting VIP service. My risk-averse lawyer brain kicked in to slow things down. But what if it takes longer than I expected and lowers my average hourly rate? Undeterred, and with the confidence of a steamroller, Courtney threw out a challenge. Let's play it out. First, how much time does it usually take? Cautious, but keen to see where this went, I thought before responding. It's usually 2 emails back and forth with an amended copy of the contract, plus maybe a call to clarify things with the opposing lawyer. Courtney tapped the crown against her lip. So is that about an hour? I was nervous and wanted to be extra careful. Yeah, probably, but it could be more. Emphasizing the more as if it held deep meaning. And no one else is including this as part of a standard contract review, she asked. The question burst out with excitement tripping in her tone. No, I huffed the word, my shoulders sagging with frustration. Courtney's energy visibly picked up, her hand flying across the page with a fresh idea as my frustration was clearly being ignored. I continued, because it means I would be doing extra work without getting paid. She flipped the piece of paper to continue writing, ignoring what I thought was an obvious reason not to do it. So, let's say by doing this, you take your score from 1 to 1.1, and every client sends another contract review. The hesitation tangled in my throat, but I nodded along anyway. Right? She kept her eyes on the paper, voice steady, clearly 3 steps ahead of me. So, it's cost you $500, or more realistically, 2 hours of time to acquire a new client, she said. I was lost for a second in the flurry of her momentum. Huh? The crown suspended midair. She cocked an eyebrow, her focus laser sharp on me. How many coffees or lunches did it take to get one new client, and how much time did you spend doing all that schmoozing? She asked. I did the math quickly. It was probably 20 hours of catch-ups across 12 meetings, the pride creeping into my voice before I could hide it, and I got 4 clients out of it. Courtney paused, eyes narrowing in a way that meant something was about to click. She grabbed a fresh piece of paper and started writing again, fast. I just watched, a little nervous about what was coming. Courtney continued. So, 20 hours divided by 4 equals 5 hours to get one client. But if you offer just an extra hour of work to your current client and it leads to a second matter or a referral, then you're only spending 1 hour to win the next client. She held up the paper, letting the numbers do the talking. I paused, my stare bouncing between her and the page. I've always seen BD time as less valuable than billable time, but if I just use a little of my billable time to add extra value for clients, I actually spend less time doing BD overall. For a moment, the noise of my thoughts faded, and all I could do was take her in, the woman who saw angles I never could. It's genius, I said. Courtney brushed a stray hair behind her ear and pushed forward before the words had fully left my mouth. So, we have a great value add that sets you apart from anyone else. Next. I delayed my response enough to make her look up and acknowledge the compliment before I spoke. Back to business, eh, babe? She blushed just for a second, which was when I knew she was happy but wouldn't dare pause to accept the compliment, as she never allowed the spotlight to shine on her long, no matter how much she deserved it. So, final step, celebrate their win. What's the moment that happens when they complete a contract, Courtney said. I thought for a beat. If it's a lease review, it means they're moving into a new space, I said. She placed the crown down, immediately replacing it with her phone in one seamless motion. Bingo, so send them something small to celebrate. The idea sparked something, but I still wasn't sure where she was heading. Like what? I asked. She spun her screen around. A sleek modern desk plant branded with my logo. She passed me the phone, then casually picked up the crown again, twirling it like her own version of a mic drop. Costs you $30, but you build that into your price and it shows the client you actually give a damn, so they're more likely to come back to you for future contract reviews. I let out a low whistle. That's brilliant. I guess that concludes today's lessons. With perfect comic timing, Ollie plucked the crown from her fingers and resumed colouring like the meeting was officially over. That's been more than 5 minutes, he said. Courtney seemed to be content, ignoring our firstborn's smart aleck attitude. I know, she said. Plus, it puts you front and centre of their new space, so you'll always be in front of them for future opportunities. She leaned across the table, her lips brushed mine, soft, deliberate, disarming. And yes, one lesson at a time for your simple male brain, she said, patting me on the head. As she stood and stretched, she tossed out an invitation like it had been waiting in her back pocket. By the way, Hannah and Ryan asked if we want to do a camping trip with all the kids again soon. Courtney had been maid of honour at their wedding, and Ryan had made me a groomsmate. We had grown into quite good friends over the years. Hannah was a year ahead of me in post-admission experience and working in a similar-sized firm to the one I had quit, and last time we'd seen them, she seemed happy enough with the job. Oh, it'd be nice to see them and the kids again, but I pointed at the chaos of contracts and highlighters sprawled across the table. Maybe in a few months once things feel more stable. Okay, Courtney said. A small frown tugged at her mouth before she pushed it away with pure optimism. But we are doing it before summer, so you have 4.5 months to get some stability. I tapped the edge of my laptop twice, sealing the agreement. Deal. A few days later, I had a chance to put the new ideas into action. For my next 3 client lease reviews, I gave a personalised 5-minute video summary explaining the key risks, a bonus round of negotiation at no extra charge, a small gift with a handwritten note. Congrats on securing your new space. Wishing you every success and excited to be part of your journey. Then I waited. The first client's email came back within an hour. Jason, this was incredible. The video made everything so much clearer. I've never had a lawyer take this much care before. I've got another contract coming up next month for a project we're tendering on. Can we book you in now? Reputare Score 1.1. The second client called me directly. Hey, that plant was such a nice touch. No lawyer's ever done that for me before. I sent your info to my business partner. He's got 2 contracts he needs help with too. Reputare Score 1.2. The third client left a 5-star review and referred 2 colleagues. Reputare Score 1.3. I stared at the screen, stunned. Courtney leaned over my shoulder, reading along. Told you, she said. That night, after the kids were asleep and my inbox had finally settled down, I shut my laptop and put it down beside the bed and turned to Courtney, who was snuggled up under the covers while The Simpsons played in front of us. Rolling onto my side to face her, propped up on one elbow, my voice was thoughtful. I was thinking. Her hand emerged from under the blanket, remote ready to pause the show as she looked up playfully. That's dangerous, she said. I ignored her friendly poke. No, I want to track this, like actually track it, my Reputare score. If I can keep it as high as possible, I'll never have anxiety about where new work will come from again. Raising both brows, clearly impressed even if she was trying not to show it. Now you're starting to think like a business owner, she said. A feeling of pride warmed my chest. This felt like a real foundation I could rely on. Clients were no longer one-time transactions, and if I always kept track of where my Reputare score was when finalising a client's file, I could sleep easy knowing more work would keep flowing. The uncertainty of whether there will be more clients and the accompanying anxiety that comes with it would be gone. I slept so solid that night. For the first time since launching, I didn't feel worried about if there would be more work in the future. I could predict how much would be coming based on the number of active matters I had at any point and the average Reputare score of my past 10 clients. My Reputare score was the foundation of my practice. End of chapter. And obviously a bonus resource in this one is the Reputare Score Tracker. So it allows you to keep a close eye on your score. That allows you to make advertising decisions more effectively because you know what your return on investment would be, knowing one client isn't just one matter. And it also tells you if your service is worth promoting in the first place. So if you aren't sure what your past clients think of your service, this Reputare Score Tracker will reveal the truth without them even having to tell you. The link to download it is in the show notes.